Hello friends, in this video we will be learning properties of Fourier series. The advantage of knowing properties of Fourier series is that if you know a Fourier series for a particular signal, then Fourier series of the altered signal can be calculated very easily without following the long procedure. So in this video we are going to see how to apply that technique. Let's begin. So let's start with our very first property, that is a time shifting property. For example, if you have signal x of t, let us assume its Fourier series coefficient is ck. Then x of t minus t naught. So if you see, if you are already knowing Fourier series coefficient for given x of t is ck, then for x of t minus t naught, so how do we get x of t minus t naught from x of t? Of course, by delaying by amount t naught. So this is a delayed version of x of t, and by how much amount? Of course, by t naught. In that case, you don't have to really calculate Fourier series of it. If x of t's Fourier series coefficient is already known to you, it is simply ck multiplied by e to the power j k omega naught t naught. If we have negative sign here, we should give negative sign here. That is, if we have signal as, let's say, x of t plus t naught, so I'm sure you understood this. This is advanced version of x of t. And let's say by same amount t naught, then its Fourier series coefficient is same as ck. Only thing is that it is multiplied with extra term. This is e to the power j k omega naught t naught. Since for advance we give plus sign, we have positive power here, and for delay we have negative sign, then we have negative sign in the power of e. So you have to remember this property. Of course, we will solve some problems based on the property, so things would be quite clear to you. Let's see the next property, that is called as a time scaling property. That is, for x of t, after taking its Fourier series, we get, let's say, Fourier series coefficient as ck. Then for x of alpha t, assuming alpha is positive. So what needs to be done when alpha is negative? We will see in the next property. So for x of alpha t, its Fourier series coefficient doesn't change. It is ck itself, meaning that time scaling property is not going to affect your Fourier series coefficient. I repeat, a time scaling property provided alpha greater than 0 is not going to affect Fourier series coefficient. It is going to remain same. So time scaling does not affect Fourier series coefficient. So now we shall see a time reversal property. That is, let's say for given signal x of t, after having Fourier series, we have Fourier series coefficient as ck. Then for x of minus t. Now here, some students feel that time scaling and time reversal property is same. It just we have to substitute alpha equal to -1. It is not so in case of at least Fourier series property. We have to treat them differently. In case if x of t's Fourier series coefficient ck is known to you, you don't have to recalculate for x of minus t. It is simply c of minus k. So how to get c of minus k from ck? It's simply replace k with minus k. So this is the way we get c of minus k. So c of minus k is just to replace k with minus k in ck. That is Fourier series coefficient for x of t. So now we will see time differentiation property. That is, let's say for given signal x of t, we have Fourier series coefficient as Ck. Then suppose you are calculating it for d by dt of x of t. So this is, so it becomes j k omega naught times Ck. So what I've done, if you take differentiation in time domain, it is just multiplied with extra term, that is j k omega naught. For example, if you take double derivative, that is d square by dt square x of t, then again we are going to multiply with same term, but only difference is that it is going to get squared because you have taken derivative twice. So we can write it in general for nth order derivative. I'm sure you can figure it out. It is again multiplying with same factor, that is j k omega naught only raised to n times Ck, where Ck is nothing but a Fourier series coefficient for original signal x of t. Now we shall see a time conjugate property. So let's see what is time conjugate property says. For x of t, let's say we have Fourier series coefficient as Ck. Then for x conjugate of t, so we know that it is possible to conjugate x of t only when x of t is a complex signal. Let me tell you, when x of t is a real signal, it is immaterial to have conjugate of it. That is, for example, if I tell you to take conjugate of 2, so we know that 2 is a real number, so even after conjugating, it will remain 2. But if I tell you to get conjugate for 2 plus 3j, then only it will have some meaning to write it as 2 minus 3j. So what I mean to say is that most of the times we deal with real signals, am I right? So we believe that x of t most of the time is a real signal. So when x of t is a real signal, this property is immaterial because x conjugate of t and x of t will remain same. In case if the x of t is complex signal, then only this property is applicable. So let's see what is the coefficient now. It is c minus k conjugate. Very simple. So original Ck, you have to only replace k with minus k and thereafter you have to conjugate it. So please remember. So the question is how to get C conjugate of minus k from Ck. Step number 1, replace k with minus k, and step 2, take conjugate. So once you replace k with minus k, Ck becomes C minus k. And now C minus k is ready with you. Just take conjugate of C minus k, then it becomes C minus k conjugate. So this is how we get C conjugate minus k. So this is the last property we are going to see. In fact, it is a Parseval's theorem. In general, what Parseval theorem says, energy content for time domain as well as frequency domain is always same. So you're just transferring the information which was in time domain into frequency domain, and even after doing so, energy content in both the cases remains same because energy cannot be created nor be destroyed. So this is what Parseval theorem says in this context. We know that we are learning Fourier series where we are transferring our x of t, which is periodic in nature, in frequency domain. That is decomposing x of t in different frequency content. So after doing so, energy content in both sides, that is in time domain as well as in frequency domain, is always same. But when we are talking about Fourier series, we talk about strictly periodic signal. And when signal is periodic, signal is strictly power signal, it is not energy signal. So in case of Fourier series, we don't go for energy calculation, we go for power calculation. I repeat, when we study energy and power signal, we have already seen that for periodic signal, we calculate power and not energy. Every periodic signal is by default power signal. So when it comes to Parseval's theorem, in case of Fourier series, we don't go for energy calculation, we go for power calculation. And how do we calculate power for a periodic signal? I'm sure you remember. In general, power is 1 by t integrating over a time period x of t mod square dt. So this is how we calculate power for x of t signal, provided x of t signal is a periodic signal, right? So according to Parseval's theorem, we say that power content of time domain and power content of frequency domain is same. So how do we get that? It's very easy. So by theorem, 1 by t integrating over a time period mod of x of t square dt is always equal to summation k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity mod of ck whole square. So please understand that we have a summation operator to the right hand side because we got a discrete content when it comes to ck, because we always write ck in sequence form if you have seen, whereas x of t is continuous time signal, so we have an integration to the left hand side. So it is in terms of ck, we can also write it is in terms of a trigonometric Fourier series, which is also equal to a naught square plus summation k equal to 1 to infinity ak square plus bk square by 2. So this is how we get power content on both the sides by using a Parseval's theorem. So let us solve some problems based on the property. So question number 1 says that find ck for the following. So this kind of signal we have already studied in the last video lecture. But let me remind you that signal was bit different. That was also a periodic impulse function, and this is also a periodic impulse function. So what we have studied in last video lecture, let me remind you. So we had this kind of signal where area of every impulse function was same, which is a. The only difference is that it was present at the specified time interval nav. So for me, let's say this was f of t, and for f of t we already had a Fourier series coefficient as a by t. Is that right? So this was ck, right? So ck was a by t in case of f of t, in case of the problem that we have done in the last video lecture. So are you able to find any relation between f1 of t and f of t? So if you see carefully, your f1 of t is nothing but a delayed version of f of t, and by quantity t by 4. So by observing, we will come to know that f1 of t is simply f of t minus t by 4. So let us cross verify if it is so. So whenever we want to delay by some quantity, we add that quantity in each time interval, that is, it would be 0 plus t by 4, then this will be t plus t by 4, and this will be minus t plus t by 4. Now let us see. Sample which was present at t equal to 0 will get shifted to t by 4. Do we have sample at t by 4? Yes, we have it. Now over here, when we add t plus t by 4, it becomes 5t by 4. Am I right? So this we need to correct. This is 5t by 4. So yes, we have a sample at that position. So this sample gets shifted here. This sample gets shifted here. Is that right? Now we have one more sample at minus t. So minus t plus t by 4 becomes minus 3 t by 4. Therefore, this gets shifted here. In a way, we can conclude that f1 of t is a time delayed version of original signal f of t. What does that mean? It means clearly we can use a property, because by using a property, it is going to save our time. So let's say f of t has Fourier series coefficient at ck, then f1 of t is having Fourier series coefficient as dk. So I'm using a different letter to indicate its Fourier series coefficient so as to avoid the confusion. Okay. So for f of t, I'm using ck as Fourier series coefficient, and let's say for f1 of t, I'm using a Fourier series coefficient as dk. So what is the relation between f of t and f1 of t? We have seen that f1 of t is nothing but f of t minus t by 4. That is delayed version of f of t by quantity t by 4. In that case, f1 of t will have Fourier series coefficient as dk, which is equal to e to the power minus j k omega naught t by 4 times ck, because by property it is e to the power minus j k omega naught t naught times ck for f of t minus t naught. Is that right? Then I can write dk equal to e to the power minus j k. Now you know that omega naught is nothing but 2 pi by t. Is that right? So I am replacing omega naught with 2 pi by t dot. We have t by 4. So here t gets cancelled, and 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4 times ck. So dk is equal to e to the power minus j k pi by 2 times ck. But you know what? Ck is already known to us. Please remember, ck is nothing but Fourier series coefficient for f of t, and it was a by t itself. Is that right? So let me substitute now. Finally, dk is equal to e to the power minus j k pi by 2 times a by t. So this becomes the final answer for Fourier series coefficient for the given figure. So let us find ck for the following. So this is the signal given for which we have to find ck. Am I right? Of course, by using figure 1 concept, we will get trigonometric Fourier series, and from trigonometric Fourier series, we can get ck for this, and maybe by using some property, we will get the final answer. So we'll see what we can do with this. So we will modify the question bit. Find ck for the following by using Fourier series properties. Of course, in GATE, they never ask you to use a particular approach. It's up to you which approach to be used. So here, particularly since we are learning Fourier series property, we'll make use of Fourier series properties even if it is not required in this case. So let's see what we can do with this f2 of t. So in previous video lecture, we have seen one signal, let's say f of t. It looked like this. Amplitude A, here we had minus A amplitude. It is t by 2, t, then we have minus t by 2, and we have minus t here. So let's say if I want to relate f2 of t and f of t. See why I'm relating f2 of t with f of t, so that I can relate their respective coefficients also. Is that right? So let me assume Fourier series coefficients for f2 of t is dk, and Fourier series coefficient for f of t is ck. Since we have already solved Ck for the given f of t, let me remind you what was Ck. This was the value of Ck for k being odd. For all even values of k, the coefficient is always 0. Ck present only at k being odd. So let me remind you, in last video lecture, we have already done with this question, that is f of t question, for which Fourier series coefficient was Ck. Now for f2 of t, we have to calculate f2 of t in terms of f of t so as to get dk in terms of Ck. I hope you got my point. If you observe carefully, if I advance f of t by t by 4, then you will get f2 of t. And I'm sure you remember how do we really advance it, right? So whenever you want to advance it, then I can write now f2 of t in terms of f of t like this. f2 of t, it's simply f of t plus t by 4. This is what we mean by advancing by t by 4. So whenever we advance by t by 4, we actually subtract t by 4 from each time interval. So this was 0, it becomes 0 minus t by 4. Is that right? Therefore, at minus t by 4, now you see amplitude is A. Now, if you take this time stamp, that is t by 2, and if you subtract t by 2 minus t by 4, then how much it becomes? It becomes t by 4. So at t by 4, again there is a transition. Okay, at t by 2, there was a transition from A to minus A. Now there is a transition from A to minus A at t by 4. So I'm sure you know how to advance and how to delay the signal. So my duty is just to tell you what is the relation between f2 of t and f of t. So f2 of t is f1 of t plus t by 4. Let us call this as f only. F of t plus t by 4. So for f of t, let's say we have coefficient as ck. Then for f2 of t, let's say we have coefficient as dk. Now for f of t, when I say ck, f2 of t can be written as f of t plus t by 4. Am I right? In that case, coefficient dk is equal to e to the power j k omega naught t by 4 times ck. Is that right? So dk is equal to e to the power j k. Omega naught can be substituted as 2 pi by t times t by 4 dot ck. So here t gets cancelled. So finally dk is equal to e to the power j k pi by 2 times ck. Is that right? So let me remind you what was ck. Ck is minus j 2a by k pi, k being odd. So let me write that relation again. dk is equal to e to the power j k pi by 2 times ck. So dk is equal to e to the power j k pi by 2 times ck, and ck was minus j 2a upon k pi. Now by using our knowledge, let us check whether we are correct or not. So what do I mean? See, if you see the question carefully, the given signal whose ck needs to calculate is even signal in nature. See carefully. See, this f2 of t is even signal. If you remember, when it is real and even signal, its Fourier series coefficient is always real as well as even. So this is what I mean. For real and even signal, its Fourier series coefficient must be real and even. Now the question is, this is a Fourier series coefficient for given signal which includes j in itself. If it is so, do you think that the Fourier series coefficient is real? So the question is it real? So for that, we need to solve this. We know that this dk relation is true only for k being odd. And why it is so? Because ck does exist only for k being odd. So accordingly, dk will also exist only for k being odd. So whenever you are substituting the values of k, make sure that you are substituting only odd values of k. For even values of k, dk is absolutely 0 because ck is equal to 0 for all even values. So let us substitute for k equal to 1. So for k equal to 1, it becomes d1, which is equal to e to the power j pi by 2 multiplied by j times 2a upon pi, because k value equal to 1. So let me tell you, e to the power j pi by 2, it's simply j. Is that right? In that case, d1 is equal to. So can you see now it is j multiplied with minus j. So it becomes plus 1. Therefore, it is equal to now 2a by pi itself. So this is the value of d1. Is that right? So what do you think, looking at d1, is it real or complex value? Of course, it is a real value. And this is what is needed, that every Fourier series coefficient in this case must be real as well as even. Now, can I calculate for k equal to 2? Answer is no. For k equal to 2, in fact, d2 value will be equal to 0 because it does exist only for odd values of k. So dk was e to the power j k pi by 2 times minus j 2a upon k pi. So for k equal to 2, d2 value, you shouldn't substitute k equal to 2 in above expression. It is by default 0. Then for k equal to 3, I'll go for d3, which is equal to e to the power j 3 pi by 2 times minus j 2a by 3 pi, because k value equal to 3. Now e to the power j 3 pi by 2 is minus j. In that case, minus j into minus j is j square, and j square is minus 1. Therefore, product of minus j and minus j will result in minus 1. So d3 is simply minus 2a upon 3 pi. Now observe carefully. Do you think it is complex or real? Of course, there is no j now. It means it is also a real value. So this is only for the clarification. So this is only for the verification we have done, that we are calculating for every values of k. Again for k equal to 4, it will be 0 because for all even values, coefficient does not exist. Only for odd values, coefficient does exist. But again, it does not mean that for every figure, Fourier series coefficients are 0 when k is even. No, it is not so. It depends upon the given signal, right? So this is how we apply property and we get answers by investing minimum time. And this is required. We will be solving more problems in next video lecture. Thank you.